Bev's Video Kingdom is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is advised.
Bev's Video Kingdom is brought to you by Herpy Be Gone Lip Makeup. You're a touring musician about to head back out on the road again. You're ready to meet that special someone, or many special someones, in strange exotic places like Des Moines or Cleveland. But you spent too much time smooching on some of those strange big bottoms on the last tour, and now you got a case of the lip tingles. You just know that the groupie of your dreams is going to be standing right in front of you, wanting that armadillo in your trousers. But when she looks up, instead of seeing that sweet, smooth pucker of yours, she'll be staring smack dab into a herpy hellhole. Well, don't you fret, my friend. The folks here at Herpy Be Gone Lip Makeup got you covered. Literally. Our specially formulated product will hide every blister, crack, and crusty on the herpified yapper of yours. Your new friend will have no idea where you've been, and she'll be aching to lick your love pump before you play your first encore. But don't just take my word for it. Here's a testimonial from an anonymous rock star. Herpy Be Gone Lip Makeup. It hides my lip herpes. It's great. There you have it. Herpy Be Gone Lip Makeup. It's like camouflage for your cake hole.
How did they get John Paul Jones for that commercial? That's amazing.
I thought that was Mick Jagger.
It's an anonymous rock star, guys.
Oh, why didn't he want to be known? Aren't we like famous enough?
He's got herpes.
Start this thing.
Oh, yeah. Who the hell put me in charge of this shit? This might be a bad idea.
Dude, one official episode, and we're just like, fuck it, take the reins.
Throw them in.
Go for it.
Scotch Beck rolling in here and just like, sure, I'll do it. I'll do an episode. Why not?
Yeah.
Sink or swim. Do it,
Sink or
buddy.
swim.
Yeah. So welcome, everyone, to Bev's Video Kingdom. I am Scotch, and I'll be your host. They officially added me as an official member for the last episode. We were talking about it, and they said, are you ready to pick some movies? And I was instantly like, yeah.
He's like, well, I'm glad you asked. And then he pulled out a ream of paper that fell to the floor like a Christmas
Unrolled
list.
and unrolled. Yeah, it was kind of obscene.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys said, well, you got any ideas? I said Spinal Tap. That was the first thing I thought of. And so that will be the first movie. We're here discussing the cult classic, This Is Spinal Tap.
Wait, do you play music?
I do.
You dabble?
I dabble.
I've seen him play
here and
before
there.
in this.
Yeah.
It's in your brother's band, I saw.
That's right. I forgot about that.
So this is Nate, by the way, in case there's been some requests to, identify yourself. This is Nate.
Yes.
I'm Brad, and we've got Scotch.
Brad, you got your usually tight braided mullet is like free and wild tonight.
I'm letting it flow, man. It's harvest season. There's dust in the air, and I'm don't know.
Yeah, we're out here in the outdoor Bev studio, and it is almond dusty.
Yeah, I just figured we're talking about a very music centric movie, and I thought he's got his Kenny G lot going.
Oh, he
back
does
there.
have the Kenny G.
He's got some Kenny G flowing big time.
So Scott rolls in because it's like 175 degrees out here, and so Scott's like, I was hot last week, so I bought these really quiet fans. So he brought these like fans that pack down to the size of like a CD, and they expand into these really cool tall fans. And so I have this incredible urge right now to point one at Brad and let his hair fly like Fabio.
Yeah, let's get it going.
It would be so good.
If we do a photo shoot, we definitely got to get the little whip
You got to
machine
whip your
going.
hair around
For sure,
and stuff.
yeah.
God,
Let it flow.
God, you're pretty. Okay.
Love it. So good. So, and you're not hearing one voice yet. Across the table should be Zach, but he is tardy, and he's an asshole for being tardy to my first
I feel like we
show.
should figure out what are all the things I just say everything to his face. I was going to try to decide what I don't say to him when he's here.
I know. We will just say whatever we want to say.
So I'm
when
going
he's
to
here.
save all that shit to him.
Yeah.
To just berate him when he shows up.
I'm so looking forward to that. Yeah, so he will be here. So if anybody's sitting there worried because they don't hear Zach, he'll be here. But yeah, so we are going to jump into this thing. This is Spinal Tap. This movie is very important to me. I've seen it dozens and dozens of times. Rob Reiner directed this film back in 1984, and it was a small budget, and it really didn't do very well at all. It was like, I think it made like $4.7 million or something.
It basically almost doubled its money, which, I mean...
Well, yeah, I mean...
If I did something and I doubled my money on it, I'd be pretty stoked.
Yeah.
I won a roulette on red once for $5, and I was...
You were fired up.
$10.
You are a winner.
That's right.
In that
I
case.
doubled my money.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
won.
they bet on all black, and they won.
I wonder how much they actually clear for four. Like, so they double their money, so that means they made like $2.2 million or something, right?
Well, yeah, but of course there's advertising.
That's what I'm
and
saying.
all
They
that-
probably made
yeah.
like $17.
Yeah, they didn't make much, but the way I saw this movie, I know I didn't see it in the theater. I know you guys say I'm old as fuck, which I am, older than you.
It's just a fact.
I didn't see this in the
It's not
theater.
criticism.
Came out in 1984.
You're like, fuck that, I'm going to see Jedi.
So just like most of everybody else that's probably listening to this, I saw this on VHS. I remember the first time I watched it just thinking this is one of my favorite movies I've ever seen. Because I am a musician, I've played music ever since I was in 5th grade, and it gives you a glimpse of what it's like to be on the road, even though it's not exactly a successful tour that they're on at all. It's still cool to just see the world, see them interacting and see how it all works. And then just the endless one-liners and the situations. And I mean, I've basically traded lines with my friends about this movie my entire life. So I'm very excited to see what you guys say about it. I know Brad has seen it a few times, and then Nate, you hadn't seen it in a long time. So let's start
I'm
with
not
you.
sure I'd ever seen it all the way through.
Okay.
If I had, I forgot most of it. So funny enough, my best relationship to this, my most positive relationship to this movie prior was that occasionally I'll take Brad and my other buddy Arjuna fishing, and the two of them will just constantly quote this movie on the back of the boat, and they're as funny quoting this movie as the movie itself. Like, you know, I saw it, so I'll say it is a highly quotable movie based on people quoting the movie in funny ways to me. So that said, I don't know. I mean,
I don't like that pause.
I don't love it. Like, it's not, and I don't mean to pick on this movie in particular. I'm not even, let me be really clear. I'm choosing my words carefully. I don't think it's a bad movie. It's probably fucking genius. It's just not my kind of movie.
Okay.
And it's not my kind of movie in mostly one particular way, which is, I think it's sort of a British brand of like dry humor that I just like usually don't get on board for. And so, like, for example, it's not that I don't recognize that it's funny or that I get some laughs out of it, but for whatever reason, same with Best in Show, same with Mighty Wind. Like,
So you're not a fan of those movies either?
no, not really. I mean, I'm not saying like I dislike them, and I'm not even saying I don't see the funny in them.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't tickle my funny bone. On the other hand, I laughed hysterically 2 nights ago watching Jackass Forever.
As you should.
I don't know
Yeah.
what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you about my poor taste in movies and humor. But I think it's. I mean, I get what they're doing. I think there's lots of funny lines. Lots of times I chuckle, but like I don't find myself just laughing hysterically. And I'm a story guy. Like I watch movies because I want someone to tell me a compelling story about characters that I come to care about.
Well, and there is
It's just
zero
not that at
story
all.
in this at all because
Exactly.
it's
So-
literally ad-libbed.
Totally.
The entire movie.
Right. So it's just not my particular cup of tea.
Okay.
That's my take.
So you don't have taste. Moving on to Brad now. And you're probably a lot like me. You grew up with this movie. You probably saw it when you're younger and have seen it over the years. So what were your thoughts? Because I'm actually not surprised at your take because you said you hadn't seen it, and if you had, you don't remember anything about it. So it's almost like it was brand new. I was wondering if it translated, and obviously it probably doesn't. But of course, maybe it's just not to you. So I'll be curious to see what Zach says when he gets here as well. So Brad.
Well, right. I'm going to view this through the lens of nostalgia because my dad is a musician, my brother's a musician, my brother's in Scotch's band, so that's a big thing.
Thank you so much, buddy.
I had to do it. You're the host, man. You gotta pump up the host, right?
I was actually going to write down a little, like an envelope and save it till the end and say a joke will be made about it being your brother's band within the first segment and reveal it at the end. But anyway.
Nah, I had to give you got to pump up the host. So, so through the lens of nostalgia, I tried to watch a little bit more objectively tonight. And Nate, some of the same things that you're talking about. Like, there's really no story. I really was like, I hadn't watched it in a little bit. So I was trying to think, like, you know what? Is it too much just like a bunch of sketches thrown together? But I think there's a flow to it. Each little individual gig has its own little gag, but at the same time, like each gig kind of getting worse and worse. And then you have the little drama once his wife or his girlfriend comes in, and so you start to get a little bit of a story, somewhat. But still, man, just some of the lines that I've talked about with like I said, with Arjuna when we're fishing, or with my dad and my brother. It's like we can throw out lines constantly from this movie, and there's just so many little good moments of acting that come across very real. I would say, as much as it's a mockumentary, there's times when it feels like, is this just really like a movie about some crazy band? Like, they do a good enough job that if you didn't know, you might be like, is this real?
Well, and I will say, like, to right to the point of me being sort of ignorant to this movie, I was aware of the conversation about Spinal Tap well before I saw the movie. Like, I probably saw the movie 25 or 30 years ago, but that was 15 years after it came out.
Right.
So I was unsure until very shortly before I saw the movie if like the movie was a documentary about a real band. Like I just didn't know. Right. And because Spinal Tap then goes on to release albums, right? And there's some music associated with that people sort of talk about a little bit. I was always kind of like, oh wait, okay, so is this just a goofy band that like they made a? So I do think that part of it is obviously, just the fact that I didn't know, but part of it is it doesn't come off as, it's a parody, but it's the funny part is that like it's not that far off from what you imagine some of these bands are like.
Well, yeah, so what's interesting is, well, first of all, they are real musicians. They are a real band. They were singing these songs, not doing it live on the camera, obviously, but so Michael McKean and Christopher Guest met in college, and they played music together. And so they are both legit musicians. And actually, Christopher Guest was in the National Lampoon. They had a group. There's an amazing documentary about that, the whole National Lampoon coming up. And they had a stage show called The Lemmings.
Yeah.
Lemmings,
Yeah.
And so Christopher Guest was part of that, and he did this James Taylor impression that was supposed to be unbelievable. And so it had like Chevy Chase was playing the drums. It was all the Saturday Night Live guys, the original Saturday Night Live people, were in this cast on this stage show called The Lemmings. And Jim Belushi that's where he developed that whole amazing character when he does the singing and all that stuff. So they are a legit band. Like, they kind of came up with this whole idea, developed these characters when they were doing a TV show pilot with Rob Reiner. And I don't think that show ever took off. I think it was actually called The TV Show. And that's when they came up with this concept, and then Harry Shearer joined that as well. And so that's when they formed this band. They had the characters. I think he had the name Nigel Tufnell for years. He was using that for other things. So, and it's interesting because like they do that with Saturday Night Live on. So you talk. A Mighty Wind is another one of the movies in this kind of the Christopher Guest universe. The Folksman in that movie was actually a Saturday Night Live skit back when Harry Shearer and Michael McKean and Christopher Guest were on Saturday Night Live as hosts, or not hosts, but cast members on that.
Well, and the best is they go on to, when they do actually some tours, the Folksmen open for Spinal Tap.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they've opened for themselves. There was I think I saw a trivia. Liam Gallagher from Oasis, I guess he went to go watch, and the Folksmen were opening, and he's just like, man, who's the shit band? I'm here to see Spinal Tap. And he's like, well, no, these are the guys, and they open for themselves, and they're going to play. And he, at that point, allegedly did not know that Spinal Tap was not a real actual band.
That is awesome.
That's what the internet told me.
That makes me like Oasis more. So I want to come back though really quick. So for all of my like ambivalence, there is some stuff that's true gems even to me. Right? So like the thing that is quoted most often on the back of my boat and that I still think is the funniest single bit in the movie is the reading of the reviews. Right? Like, you know, one of your reviews of the movie of Shark Sandwich was just 2 words: shit sandwich. And
I love how they kind of
can't print that.
yeah, they kind of laugh it off for a
be
second.
real.
But like, that can't be real. Where they print that?
The first one he reads like some really deep, you know, wallowing around in a you know, idiotic bath of like, so, you know, no, that's just nitpicking then, right? I
It's just nitpicking.
it's so fun, like so
Yeah.
perfect. The responses are just on point. So I will say there's some things in there that like they do kill.
I mean, when they talk about the Smell the Glove album and it's sexist, and of course when they kind of come over telling the album's not gonna happen, it's sexy.
Being sexy?
What's wrong with being sexy? That's such a good line. It's just a
And
great.
just the very concept of just the name of the album, Smell the Glove. If you don't know anything else, you're just like, what the like, that's just nuts. Like that's the perfect, like, crazy album name for a rock band. And then they describe the cover. Just, what's wrong with that? You have a completely naked woman on all fours with a leash, and there's a man's hand extended out with a glove on her face, so she's sniffing it.
And I love how Ian tries to defend it. He's like, well, you should have seen what they actually wanted. I'll tell you, it wasn't a glove.
It wasn't a glove.
And by the way, like, so if I'm going to also heap a little bit of like backtracking praise here, the cast is much better than I realized, right? So in terms of bit parts, right? It has a lot of the Rob Reiners that come, you know, universe that come later. A little Billy Crystal in there, right?
It's loaded with cameos, like, of these actors that you're like, oh, he's in the, oh my God, he's in this.
One young Fran Drescher.
Fran
right?
Drescher, looking like the same back then as she.
Yeah.
I mean, she's always looked the same to me.
Do you know who the other mime was?
Yeah,
No.
Dana Carvey.
Dana Carvey.
Oh, really? Yeah.
He's the one that
No.
was that Billy Crystal was telling him.
Yeah.
No, did you do the fish or whatever? He's like, get out of here. Mime is money.
Mime is money.
So stupid. Yeah. You know, Bruno Kirby is the limo driver. Howard Hessman is the manager of that other band they run into in the hallway. Paul Schaefer is the
Paul Schaefer. Just kick my ass.
Kick my ass. Ed Begley Jr. as
The drummer.
the original drummers.
Yeah,
Snuffy
Ed Bigley
Pete's.
Jr. He's been in so much of their other stuff. So
Yeah.
I mean, obviously a lot bigger roles, but it's funny to see him back there.
So is this the best mockumentary?
Well, first of all, let me correct you. It's a rockumentary. Jesus, did you even watch the movie?
I actually only the first one.
Did we draft? We drafted best mockumentary or parodies, right? We did that.
Just
back
best
in the day.
parodies,
Best parodies, yeah.
but not mockumentary. I mean,
Mockumentaries,
that's a subset.
Okay, well,
But I'm talking TV too, because like, so this is what's weird about it is,
Nate, don't get me started.
so The
gonna get
Office,
Nate, don't
the
get me
American
started.
Office is the best comedy of all time. The British Office is an excellent comedy, and I will say, one of the few British television shows that I'm like really high on.
Right.
But it does have the same basic quality, which is like it's very much drier and it's shorter, so you don't get quite the investment in some of the characters. Although you get enough because it's, you know, it kills at the end. But I mean, you kind of think of it because it's become a little bit more of a ubiquitous camera style, even though it's not so clear. But like the sort of like the documentary style filming is in a lot of shows.
Right.
But it's not necessarily the premise of a lot of shows, right? Like you're never sure that that's what they're doing, and certainly not in the like Rob Reiners in front of the camera telling you that this is a documentary. And so, like, what are the other notables? And let's ignore the Christopher Guest, right? I mean, Best in Show and Mighty Wind both.
After that, I don't really know what else is good.
Right.
I mean, so you've got CB4, you've got Fear of a Black Hat.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying. But I think the point is that like there aren't a lot. There aren't a lot that come in this, but in this vein. But I mean, when it hits, like it's pretty good, right? When they do really well. This one isn't particularly one of my favorites, but I actually think that like there's some follow-ons that are great. Maybe you just have to do it exactly right.
It's
Nate, you've always asked me about. I'm sorry, you've always asked me about the whole American Office versus British Office, and I will say there's a whole lot of American Office I've not seen. But one of the
like
things,
everything after episode 1, yeah. Let's just be clear here. There's a whole lot.
I've seen moments.
There's a
I've
whole
seen the
lot, like
fire.
hundreds
I've seen
of
the fire
episodes.
alarm and
You've
stuff
seen
like that. I
memes.
mean, I've seen some stuff. So, anyway, my point though is the reason I like Spinal Tap is because as much as it's a mockumentary, there's elements of it just seem kind of real. It never feels like there's like planted jokes. Like it never feels like when we get to my body bag, there's something that I'll talk about. But with the British Office, they had a moment towards the end of it might have been in the last episode, but you have oh my gosh, so it's Tim who is also who's Tim's counterpart in the American Office?
Jim.
Dummy. Oh God, that's so
They
easy.
rhyme. Next time, just remember they rhyme.
That was very creative of the American Office. Yeah. So Tim's character goes to talk to. He's talking on he's doing a little in front of the cameras. He goes to talk to. He takes off his microphone. Okay, he's like, no, wait, hold on. He just has like an epiphany. He goes, and the camera just follows him, and it's all quiet. You don't get to see the conversation. He goes out and he talks to Dawn, who's the Pam character, and he basically like asks her out. And then they kind of talk for a second. She hugs him. He comes walking back and he sits down. He kind of, first he's like kind of looking forlorn, and then he kind of grabs the microphone. He puts it back on. He just kind of says into the mic, he's like, she said no. And it was like, it made it feel like such a real documentary, like that it wasn't planned. He just kind of got up. And that's the thing that I like, that realism. And I'm going to say The American Office is a great comedy. But
you literally have no idea.
But I will say they didn't. They went real fast and loose with the mockumentary thing. Like they started off that way, and then they basically kind of at some point just started, it's not that big of a deal. It's kind of all the little bits and stuff are more important than being an actual.
So I will say that it comes back to it in a big way late. But I agree that they do move away, and that's fair, right? Like if you were to drop into say season 2-ish. You would know there are some really important moments that are that way, but a lot of it does feel like more like the,
standard
camera style.
sitcom,
not standard sitcoms. Shut your mouth. But, so a couple other notable ones though, like Pop Star, I think is kind of the
Pop
mockumentary.
Star.
The Borat
Never
is
Stopping.
arguably kind of in this style, although it's kind of a different thing. So there's a few of them, but like it is not as they're not as common as you would think, given that like Spinal Tap became a cult classic. Mighty Wind is a cult classic. Best in Show is maybe not even cult classic. I mean, I think it's well regarded as a really, despite my misgivings, a great comedy.
Right.
Yeah.
So
In the research that I was doing, Spinal Tap was listed as the best mockumentary, on a lot of articles that I saw. It's very high regarded.
was the Google search you did? What is the best mockumentary and why is it Spinal Tap?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I did. So yeah, I mean, but I understand, man. It's like it's not your cup of tea. What do you think about this similar style? Is very ad-libbed, but like Curb Your Enthusiasm.
So I actually like Curb Your Enthusiasm quite a bit, but it took me a long time to come to it.
Okay.
And I think because I kind of knew that about it, and it felt hard for me. Again, like for me, a big part of it is I need to be attached to some characters usually.
Right.
And I was kind of like, I'm not going to identify maybe with, it's going to be hard, but I don't think that's true of Curb Your Enthusiasm, right? You actually become invested for good and for bad in a lot of the main characters. And this one, maybe just a mockumentary movie format, it just doesn't lend itself to that in most cases.
And probably the reason why Spinal Tap works for me is because I identify with the whole band, other than exploding drummers, which I haven't exploded yet. I have been in a lot of situations. I've been around, the suits and the guy, like the Paul Schaefer character, like the cheese ball promoters, like try to tell you everything's all right and stuff like that. And so that's why, especially now that I've actually gone through a lot of this stuff, I'm watching this movie going, oh my God, that scene is so perfect. This scene is so perfect. Like they did such a great job. And the reason is they actually watched a lot of actual documentaries to prepare for this. And some of the scenes, like when they're lost backstage, they're going around and can't find their way to the stage or whatever, that was from a Tom Petty concert video. So it actually happened. Tom Petty actually got lost backstage and ended up walking into an indoor tennis court when he thought was the stage. So that's why like a lot of those situations are like, so like that really did happen. And I think the band documentary, I think I wrote it down, but I can't find my notes. There's a famous documentary that they based a lot of this off. There's a Dylan documentary they looked at. And so they kind of took those stories and said, okay, we're going to do this situation. You guys go. And they filmed hundreds of hours. This needed 3 editors to...
The editing must have been insane.
Yeah. And so I have the DVD, and they have this bonus features, and I clicked on. I was going to watch see a couple outtakes. It was like 120 minutes
It's like
of outtakes.
longer than the actual movie.
Yeah, and so I started watching it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this isn't going to last because it was not good. There's a reason why it was cut out. It was interesting, but yeah, you can see why they cut it down to where it was, and that's why it doesn't feel like there's much of a story because it's so cut up. They actually added the character of Janine, his girlfriend, kind of towards the end because they realized, we need a plot device.
Yeah. I'm going to say this, and I'm not going to say this in any type of insulting way. And of course, as soon as somebody says that, people are like on guard.
Here it comes.
But I will say with you guys as a band, Flying Blind, you guys were in that realm where you weren't superstars, but the people within the recording industry are always like, can I make a buck off you? And if I can make a buck off you, I'm going to put my smiley face on and treat you like your gods because that's what I'm trying to make money off of you.
100%.
And it feels like in Spinal Tap, I mean, they're obviously on the downswing of their career. They're at the point where they're not selling out the giant arenas anymore. So it's like, but still those hangers on or those record company people and stuff, they're still trying to make that money. And they're like, if we can just squeeze a little couple dollars out of you guys, that's what I'm trying to do. And so
then they feed you everything you want to hear.
Exactly.
You're going to be famous. You're going to do this. And they tell you stories. And anybody who isn't familiar with my band that's listening, that isn't from this area, we're called Flying Blind. We were signed with Universal back in 2000. And we were kind of on the verge of doing some pretty good stuff and it just didn't work out. And I won't go into all the reasons, but there's a bunch of them. But just like I said, it's you walk into this office and they're trying to wine and dine you and impress you. And they're like, oh, yeah, 3 Doors Down. We just signed them last year. And you guys did the same thing they did. In small town band, you made all this stuff, but you guys did better than them. You're going to be bigger than them. They're telling us all this. They're feeding all this stuff. And we're sitting there just lapping it up.
Did they know your names like before you came in? Was that like something that, or did it depend on the person type?
They knew us. They were good. They were sharp.
Because I remember she's when Fran Drescher's walking around, she's like saying their names and like they're like, who's that? She like knows all
Bobby
the names.
Fleckman.
Yeah, Bobby Fleckman, hostess with the mostess.
So yeah, it's so that's probably why this movie still is very important to me, and just the fact that I've spent a lot of many hours in a van going across the country and throwing lines back and forth with the other guys in the band, and any musician I know loves this movie. And
I think we've talked about that either way older on the garage tapes or maybe early on when we were doing Almost Famous, that this is like the DVD that was in pretty much every touring band had this DVD ready to go going across the United States. You had to have Spinal Tap ready to watch.
Yeah, we would get into an argument and we'd be going back and forth and pissed off about something, whatever. Then it would kind of lull down, calm down a little bit, and finally somebody would just say, can I raise a practical question at this point? Are we going to play Stonehenge tomorrow? we'd all fucking laugh, and it was all squash. It was all good. I shit you not, that happened at least a dozen times in my entire life.
I thought you were going to say that you guys just spontaneously start singing Tiny Dancer. But
no. Oh my gosh. I don't know. It's we're gonna go. Okay, I'm getting the hand signals.
Scott just got the hook.
I got the hook.
Brad.
Right.
I just gave him a drinking sign. I was like, maybe we should think about drinking.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and bring in Rob Reiner, and you guys want to bring in Chris Guest?
Let's bring the whole band.
The whole band, since they all kind of wrote this together.
Let's get them all in here.
Yeah. So we'll do a little segment called
Pull up a chair and grab yourself a drink. We'll hypothesize what directors think. Maybe sometimes get a guest makes us look good. Let's drink, laugh, and pretend we know what we're doing. Drinking with the director, brought to you by Last Call Brewing.
just makes you feel good.
I love it.
Oh man, whoever produced that, I mean, they just put. I mean, what bar did you go to where you had like like 40, 50 people drinking and having a good time singing songs?
20 of them sounded like Brad.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys that look just like us.
Studio magic.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever told you guys this. I don't know if I've ever told anybody this, but I have a secret fantasy. I've always wanted.
Yes, tell us more.
As a musician, you know, I've done a lot of cool things, but I've always wanted to be in a mariachi band.
Really?
But I don't want to play any of the instruments. I want to be the guy that goes in the background.
That's a good role.
That's gonna be every once in a while. I'll just throw one of those out, and so I threw one of those in that back there.
That's what I heard, and it kind of reminded me of Three Amigos.
A little bit of that fantasy playing through right here on Bev's Video Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We're making dreams.
Is it Three Amigos, the band? They always
It's in there for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we are going to be drinking with the director. As I mentioned, Rob Reiner. And
what a career. I just want to start right now. Goddamn, Rob Reiner, you have had a wild career. And maybe it's nepotism. I don't give a shit. You've had a badass career.
Why would it be nepotism?
He had a pretty famous dad named Carl Reiner.
I did not know that.
Are you serious?
I mean, I remember it now that you say it.
Carl Reiner, who is also a director and an actor, and Mel Brooks' best friend. That's his dad. That's his pops.
I don't know anything about that.
So anyway, Rob. He started out. He had a pretty long career as an actor in various things, some small parts here and there. Obviously, the role that made him famous, that everybody knows him for first, was as Archie Bunker's son-in-law. Meathead, as he was called, in All of the Family, a show that I don't think would fly very well.
All in the Family definitely did not age well.
Yeah.
Per almost any standard of decency.
It's an interesting
funny.
case study because it's like the heart of gold versus like, I mean, rest in peace. I have family members who definitely were heart of gold, but their old school ways were like, oh my gosh, you definitely came from the 1940s and 50s.
Yeah, it's tough because sometimes they'll say things and you want to blame them, but you can't blame them, but you blame them, but you kind of have to blame them, but can you blame them? It's weird.
It's especially in 2022, it's very difficult to kind of process some of those things. But
so Rob Reiner, after that, when he jumped into films, Spinal Tap was his first feature film that he directed, and he went on a run that was actually
unreal,
pretty crazy. And so I'm just going to read through a few. So Spinal Tap was first. Then he did a movie called The Sure Thing.
Again, I want to stop you right there because you were going to blow right by that because it's the lesser of this run.
What, The Sure Thing?
It's a phenomenal movie.
Oh, I wasn't going to blow by
that.
No,
I'm just saying, but I think it's the lesser known.
Right.
And it is just fun 80s John Cusack.
Yeah.
I think it's my favorite Cus.
Right.
Which is funny because I love John Cusack. I've never seen it.
You've never seen it? Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so great. I think I might have seen it.
Did I once recommend it to you?
Should I watch it?
I'm not saying anything.
Yeah. John Cusack and Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
Early
Young Goose.
Yeah. And Daphne Zuniga.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, it's a great film. I think I might have even seen that before Spinal Tap.
Okay.
I remember watching that way early. And
I came to that a little late, but loved it.
So then he made a little movie called Stand By Me.
Never heard of it. I'm just kidding.
The Princess Bride.
Oh, man.
Quite possibly one of my all-time favorite films.
Oh, it's in my top 25.
Yeah.
100%.
Top 25.
My top 20. Oh, it's my top 5, but my top 5 is like 20. It's like 25 movies.
It's in my top 400.
Got it. Okay. When Harry Met Sally.
Oh, that's actually in my top 5.
Misery, which is kind of a weird left turn. You know, I didn't realize that he directed that for years.
It's a really good movie.
It is.
And I've one of the few horrors that I'm like, right. I'm all in on this.
Kathy Bates getting Oscars for that one.
Then A Few Good Men is easily in my top 10 possibly top 5. I love that movie.
Such a great movie.
If
Such a
you
great
if you
film.
get like just knowing the movie, if you gave me like 20 guesses who directed that, I don't think I would ever say Rob Reiner. It just
On A Few Good Men.
yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why it just doesn't feel like his type of movie.
But
Totally agree.
And it's crazy because he is kind of all over the place because, The Sure Thing's the total, like college buddy film. And
popcorn,
Yeah.
kind of romantic, coming of age college movie.
Stand By Me, very serious drama, coming of age, but it's kind of a more serious movie. Princess Bride, total fantasy. Harry Met Sally, rom-com. Misery, horror. Then you get A Few Good Men, which
Like
is
straight ahead courtroom
yeah,
drama.
It's crazy. He's all over the place. After that, to me, so I don't know how many of the movies after this you guys watch or enjoy, but I think it kind of goes off a little bit of a cliff here. North is horrible from what I understand. I never saw it.
I'm sure I saw it, and I don't think I liked it, but I don't remember.
American President.
I really liked that, but
Okay.
I think I'm in a little bit of a minority there.
I got to give a shout out because back in college, my roommate who I shared an apartment with, his favorite movie that he would pretty much go to sleep watching was American President.
You're kidding me.
loved. Yeah,
I would not have guessed that.
loved American President. That was his movie.
I mean, and now that I don't even know.
I didn't like it that much.
Again, I didn't know that was Rob Reiner, and now that I know, maybe I'll watch it, but probably not. But yeah, then Ghost of Mississippi. I never saw that. Bucket List, I actually enjoyed a lot. It's Morgan Freeman and
It's better than you remember.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. I mean, better than one remembers.
Right.
Like if you really.
So, but he's had a hell of a career, but he really hasn't done a lot. In a while. It's been like quite a few years since he's done anything. But what they did announce recently is Spinal Tap 2 is in development.
No.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I know. Which, it's like any of these films that you hear of that has a sequel, like Anchorman 2. You're like, oh my God, I can't wait. And then you're like,
Well, it's like Wet Hot American Summer. It's such a classic to me. And then they did the movie, and then they did the show, and I was like, or maybe it was the show and then the movie. I don't know which way.
The movie was first, and then they did the show afterwards.
So the sequel movie and then the show.
I don't think there's a sequel. There's only one movie.
No, there was a movie,
Right.
and then the original movie, and then there was a Netflix movie, and there was a Netflix show.
Okay. I only saw the part of the show because it was not good, and I didn't finish it.
Well,
But,
yeah. So I mean, I'm just saying, like, there was parts that were enjoyable. I feel like it's gonna be one of those where there's gonna probably be a few segments that are like, okay, this is old school, but then there's
Yeah.
gonna be some which is like, yeah.
I don't know. So I'm excited for Spinal Tap 2, mostly because I just love these characters so much, and I can't wait to see them on screen again. And I have a lot of trust in Christopher Guest being hilarious as Nigel Tufnell again. Is it going to be great? Probably not, but I'm still going to watch it, and I'm still going to enjoy it. But anyway, that's the next thing that he's got on the docket. So.
I mean, obviously, they're going to be old guys, and there's going to be some funny stories about things
Right.
that they've been through since then. I mean, Michael McKean, if anybody's watched Better Call Saul, I mean,
He's great.
Yeah.
He's absolutely great, but he's also looking pretty old. I mean, he's definitely looking like
Yeah.
an older
Yeah.
man. So
So
Have you checked out like the Rolling Stones or Aerosmith lately?
who are those?
Yeah. I don't think Spinal Tap 2 is that far off.
So we've got Rob Reiner. We've got the cast of Spinal Tap, who Nate doesn't like any of these guys. And what questions do we have as we... well, first of all, let's go around the table and what are we sipping on? Nate.
I was a little sleepy, and so I grabbed one of my morning standards. Instead of my signature Diet Pepsi and grenadine, I have a yellow Rockstar Recovery. I'm in no way sponsored by Rockstar, but I want to make some comments.
Okay.
Number one, this is the magic serum. So if you ever have a little bit of a rough night, the next morning you want the yellow Rockstar Recovery.
I've never heard of this.
If they don't have the yellow, you want the orange, and you should be angry that they don't have the yellow. Okay, let's just put that out
So
there.
well, it's lemonade flavor. I see it on the side.
I don't understand why in certain parts of the country they seem averse to Rockstar, because like on the East Coast I have so much harder time finding this. What are you guys doing right now? I'm talking. Are you just... It's like,
digging for my beer.
It sounds like you guys are reorganizing your storage room or something.
Kind of like
What's happening?
Well, kind of like your attitude to Spinal Tap. I just don't care about your
I'm
Rockstar.
gonna go get snacks. I'll be back when you guys stop talking about this stupid movie.
Rockstar Recovery, I will say, has got me through a lot of tough situations.
I remember very distinctly you and I and Arjuna having a Vegas trip.
Oh, it was St. Patty's.
Yeah, so we used to go to St. Patty's for Vegas years ago, and we had a night. And so the next morning, Arjuna wakes up, and he's invincible. He's invincible, very hardy. But nonetheless, right, he was a little rough. And we had bought a bunch of Rockstar Recovery, so I just sort of jammed one into his hand, and he's like, I don't know what this is. And from that day on, he's like a believer, the elixir of the gods. Like he's like, this is the savior drink.
I was going to say, I didn't join you guys till like noon. You guys kind of went out a little bit earlier and got up and around, and then I was struggling, but then finally I got a Rockstar Recovery into me. And
it's magic, I'm telling you.
I met you guys in the bar, and you guys put a drink in my hand, and I was like, here we go.
I try to keep these to
Round two.
one a day, but if I'm sleepy, 8 p.m., yeah, it's go time.
So what's the difference between a Rockstar Recovery and a regular Rockstar?
Well, number one, it has only 25 calories.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I like to save my calories for binging on unhealthy snacks.
On Diet Coke and grenadine.
Yeah. Two, as the label says here, it has electrolytes and B vitamins along with taurine and electrolytes, which makes me just think that it's basically a health drink.
And 160 milligrams of caffeine. Is that what it says right there?
That's right.
Yeah,
it's 2 cups of coffee. Stop judging me. I don't drink coffee.
I'm not judging. I'm asking.
Guys, it's what hangovers crave.
That's right.
Electrolytes.
So it's magic. Go get it if you need it, or if you don't.
Now, I'm also a fan of the Monster. What are they called? The Monster.
They're the recover. No, they're the rehabs.
Monster Rehab.
But here's the problem.
But it's tea. I like tea.
You like tea, which I don't like. Why do you like?
That's what I drink every morning. I drink a big tall glass of ice green tea or ice black tea for breakfast.
Are you a coffee guy? You guys both coffee?
No,
guys?
I don't drink.
I like
no,
coffee
I don't
lot,
drink coffee. I drink iced tea.
See, I don't drink. I am not a warm. I don't like hot beverages. So I've never gotten into the coffee. So this is
no,
like
and my
coffee.
tea's not hot. It's always iced. It'll be freezing outside. I'm walking to school with my iced tea.
Yeah.
I think I just realized why you're drinking Rockstar, because they're rock stars that we're talking about.
Maybe,
And that's-
maybe not.
I get your theme.
I might have thought of that. I don't know.
I don't think you even thought of that until right now.
Who's Rob Reiner's dad? Okay, let's go on.
Brad, what do you got over there, buddy?
I have cracked a nice tall can of Dying Breed out of Oakdale, California. They have Mosaic. It is a Mosaic pale ale. It is delicious. It's tasty. I was just in there not too long ago, and I was like, I had a Mosaic, and I was like, I need to get a 4-pack of that, and that's what I'm drinking.
Moo.
Yeah, if you don't know Dying Breed, they have the Shaggy Southland cow or whatever it's called, something like that, and it's they put on all their things and a lot of cow themed names and titles. You've got the whole Mosaic background, and you can see that cow in the back. It's pretty cool.
Mosaic. Love it.
Mosaic.
So going on with a little bit of the theme, which I thought that Nate was doing. He didn't know he was doing. But this is a special can of beer. This was made by Blaker here in Ceres. And this was the first collab beer that my band did. The one that Brad's brother is in. It's my band.
Your band, yeah.
And it's called Instrumental One. It was going to be part of a series. They were going to do 4 of them that year. And then COVID hit. We literally played our concert to release this beer about a week before the original shutdown back in 2020.
Yeah.
And we had just a shitload of people out there. It was a great time. Like a week later, fucking COVID just shut everything down and just kind of stopped the whole process of them doing. They were going to do one each quarter with different bands in the area. So we were going to be the first one. So this can has been in my fridge since, what was that, February or March of 2020?
Yeah.
Still pretty tasty.
It tastes kind of like a beer, and it's really good. I had a Hoisting Heavy Haze first.
Oh boy!
And going from that,
Give me that kind of night.
about as fresh of a beer as there is.
I'll save you a Rockstar Recovery for tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
Which I'll say, Hoisting Heavy Haze you cannot get. I was just at last call. It is all sold out. But
It's already.
It's out there, but I think you can get it at Food Fix. So in Vesto, if you want to.
Which, along with delicious food.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, but it's actually still really good. It's an amazing beer, and so I thought I'd drink one of our band beers.
I will say
night.
one of my first like Zoom meetings, people were talking. That's probably a little bit deeper into COVID. We were on some Zoom meeting, and the question when we were kind of getting to know each other was, "What's the last concert you went to?" And I said, actually, it was this guy I know, Scotch Beck. My brother's in his band, and it was a beer release, Flying Blind. That was the last concert I went to before COVID.
Super fun, man.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so who's got some questions for Carl or I know you have some questions for that's his dad, Carl. Rob Reiner. Who's got some questions for Rob Reiner or some of the guys in the band?
I want to talk to the boys because so obviously so much improv involved in this movie, and there's definitely some bits that have been set up. But I always wonder just how much did they plan? Because like when he asked them like, what was your first song you guys wrote together, and they start kind of planning it out, and they're kind of like, how much of that, like, did they know? I mean, obviously the lyrics were pretty much well planned,
right?
But how much of that was like spur of the moment, and then they just kind of built on it and said, okay, let's do another take.
I think that was probably a song that they had, and then they kind of made it seem like they were trying to remember it. I don't know, because it's like it was pretty put together. Like it seemed legit. Like I don't think they made it up on the spot.
Right?
That scene that you're talking about. But I'm curious too. Like they say, okay, we have this concept. We're going to start here, and we're going to end here, and fill it in. But were there? Hey, I'm going to say something like this. I'm going to say something like this. I'm going to make this joke. But it seems like they just said whatever. And they also tried to keep as many of the first takes as possible.
Yeah.
That was a goal of this entire film because they wanted that initial reaction. They didn't want to redo any of the jokes. Like if a take didn't work, they probably just did something completely different with new jokes and didn't do the same jokes over and over again trying to get this because they wanted the reactions to be real. From what I understood.
And that goes to the whole, like, I know it was Saturday on the news on Saturday Night Live that I forgot who it was that always tried to make, what was his name that he always tried to make laugh? Oh, it was Stefan.
Oh, yeah.
So Stefan, every time he would come on the news.
John Mulaney.
He was the writer, right?
The
so he would write on the cue cards, and Bill Hader would just immediately start cracking up as he's getting ready to read those cue cards. And so I wonder like how much of that was like where somebody would have a good line and they would write it and they would say it and people weren't prepared. Like how many times were people just cracking up like, oh shit, I was not ready for that.
There's definitely
and
a
just
couple
laughing
scenes,
their asses off.
a couple scenes where you see just smiles when they probably shouldn't be smiling, little grins, they got them. But those guys are probably just so good. And so, I mean, all these guys grew up in improv
talents,
and you get used to it. But
I mean, if you mix improv with just an unlimited roll of film and a lot of really good editors, I'm not saying it's like automatic, but you maximize that talent, right? Like it's not like you said, right? It's not like, a lot of the outtakes are just not funny.
Right.
And in some ways, right, different than improv, where like you don't have, you're performing in front of an audience, and the shit's got to be pretty funny, right? Because you don't have you can't just throw stuff into the cutting room floor. You can just try everything, right, in a movie like Spinal Tap. Mm-hmm. And so you can imagine, right, like why it ends up being so funny and so original is partly because you're not constrained to the sort of like low-hanging fruit, right? You can get in, and that's some of what's really funny about it, right? The whole, like, the most famous sort of like silly quote of the whole thing is like, this one goes to 11. Right. And like that whole bit.
Obviously planned out. Right.
Obviously planned out. But it's like, but that's such a like, you might not get, you're never going to get that in like real improv. But it's not even just the way that it, like the planning out of it, it's the delivery. Right. Like, well, it's one louder, isn't it? Like it's just so perfect in that way. And
it feels like a real conversation. He kind of stumps him and he's kind of chewing his gum.
Yeah.
These go to 11. Like just the way he delivers that is so perfect. But I mean, I don't want to go behind the curtain too much of BVK, but it's just like, I mean, people don't understand that. I mean, we record 20 hours of material for each of our episodes.
Can you believe we're only this funny and this good?
I know, dude, 20 hours.
The hour you get, the shit you get for the hour, it's really our best stuff.
Right. I mean, I had to quit my job just so I could edit because it's like, dude, 20 hours per episode. This is bullshit. Yeah. And we make like $1 an episode. So
So my number one question, and this is something that I will say I sort of have been wondering a while because I've been aware of it. What does the glove smell like? Like, why are they having her smell the glove? Because like they talk about this, right? Like, it's not really, why is that so bad? Like, but it depends, right? Like,
We did
where
Goodwill
did
Hunting
the glove
last week. And a baseball glove,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what we're talking about? Is that maybe the
There's something in the
insinuation?
glove. What's the glove been in?
Is it like is it like a mall rat situation where they put the glove on and then stink palmed it? You know what I mean? Like,
Is it a medical glove, or are we talking like it's like a isotoner, or what do we got going?
and
It's a
part of
leather
me,
glove, I think.
it's a leather glove.
What
Yeah.
is it, did they say specifically a leather glove?
I don't know if they did.
I guess I always assume
Yeah.
it's a leather
I
glove.
just assumed a leather glove,
Which I
too.
also am a little bit like, does that pick up a scent the way that another glove would?
Well, sweaty leather has a scent to it.
Itself, right?
Yeah.
So then I'm like, well, maybe the glove
Not that
doesn't smell like
not that I
anything.
know anything about sweaty leather
Smell
smell.
the glove. So I just want to know what the glove smells like. Like, why, it's for me the number one unanswerable question of the entire movie.
Interesting. I've never given it one fucking thought.
I'm right there with you. I was like, I don't think I ever thought about that once.
That's all I think. That's all I think about when I watch this movie.
Oh my gosh. My only question really that I have is growing up with a dad like Carl Reiner and him being best
Your
friend.
dad's Carl Reiner?
You son of a-
God damn, the plot thickens.
Rob Reiner having a dad, Carl Reiner, who's best friends with Mel Brooks, and growing up around that, how did that shape just his entire life? Like his sense of humor, his entire career. Like, how much is that? I mean, how great was that for him to just be around that vibe of just hanging out with, like, one of the funniest men I've ever. Like, Mel Brooks is a hero of mine. He's so hilarious. His book was really interesting and fascinating. His whole life is very, very, very cool and interesting, and his outlook on everything is great. His movies are fantastic. But just how great was it to grow up with, Uncle Mel pretty much his whole life?
And Nate, just as a reminder, Carl Reiner, Ocean's 11, like the old guy Saul.
That's Carl Reiner.
That's Carl
That's
Reiner.
Carl Reiner. I mean, in his very older days, but
I just thought he was like a bit part actor that they grabbed as like an old guy.
Did you, have you seen Summer School?
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately,
they're friggin' morons.
he's the teacher that wins. He actually directed Summer School.
Yeah,
I believe
he
Brad,
wins. He wins the
think
lottery.
Brad subjected me to that in the basement tapes.
Oh, such a great movie. We
so
we
great.
might revisit it someday. Who knows?
I want to have Mark Harmon on if we do that. My mother-in-law was like, when she thought I was telling her about this, and she's kind of like marginally interested in the fact there's a podcast. She watched a lot of movies with me, but then I was like, well, one of the ones that, and who if I were to have a guest on, and she's like, oh, Mark Harmon, because she's a huge CIS fan.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can get Mark Harmon on, I'm in.
What is it? NCIS? Is that what it is?
NCIS?
NCIS.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is Carl Reiner on that one too?
What I will say is it's been so fun being. This is my first hosting job, and it was so nice of Zach to finally fucking show up.
You sound like you're doing great.
It's been a total shit show without you, buddy.
Waxing poetic
Yeah.
about Carl Reiner.
Yeah.
I love it.
And
Yeah.
smelling gloves.
And smelling gloves.
Yeah, my number one question was, what does the glove smell like?
Oh, it smells like shitty latex.
Oh, see,
Just
he's not a
instant.
latex glove
We
too.
assumed it was. I assumed it was a leather
Leather.
glove.
Okay.
Oh, I was picturing black latex. for
Don't we
some
know?
reason.
Like, isn't there a picture of this album somewhere?
I don't think they show it.
No, they
They
don't,
don't show in the
it.
movie, at least.
Yeah.
They describe it, and it doesn't sound that bad, really.
Amazing. Well, welcome, Zach. So great to have you here, buddy.
I'm here.
We
Yeah,
decided
you're
not
here.
to say all the. We were like, I was going to start talking shit, and then I was like, I'll just say all that to his face when he gets here.
Have we?
Talk about how much you smell.
Has anybody talked about the fact that Scott has his own personal fan?
Oh yeah, no, we covered that.
Did you cover that? Okay.
They fold down into to about the size of a CD.
They're Transformers, actually.
Oh, there's more than just Scott. I thought Scott just brought one for just himself.
He gave
pointed
one
it
to me.
right at himself.
I didn't bring one for everyone, but I I brought two so I didn't look like a total asshole.
You know, it's Harvest. He's going to be showing up for some of these things just a little bit rank, and so I think he was like, I think I need to do this not just for like the coolness, but also to keep my my swamp ass from the tractor
100%.
out of this whole crowd.
Smooth 104.
Swamp
today.
ass mixed with almond dust and
for those of you
Pesticide.
for those of you keeping track at home, Scott is a rock star almond farmer. Just he may be the only one.
Do
we know? Actually, sorry, we need to not pass that over. Is there anyone else we know that is a rock star almond farmer?
Oh yeah, there's lots.
I'm assuming there's
probably a
others.
few.
If you know of one, please.
I'd say the
message
most
us.
talented.
You mean,
I don't think there's anyone else.
so you mean failed rock stars that are now have day jobs?
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Only one. Just me, baby. Just me. So real quick, Zach, you just sat down.
I did.
I would love to get your thoughts. So you had never seen Spinal Tap.
So I'd never seen.
Zach, Rob Reiner, Christopher Guest, Michael McKean.
They're all here,
and Harry
so
Shearer.
they're going to listen to
So-
your review.
Okay, so that's my thing with this movie. Like, you guys know who all these people are. You're like, Rob Reiner, blah blah blah. I'm like, I don't know who that is. Christopher Guest. Like, I like Best in Show. Like, I don't know which guy's Christopher Guest. Like,
It's Nigel Tufnell, the guitar player.
so he's okay. So he's also the guy that has the Bloodhound in
Yes.
Best in
Yes.
Show.
Yes.
So he's my favorite guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dude.
he's the man.
He is so fucking funny in Best in Show, and he's really funny in this. He's probably the funniest part of this
100%.
movie. And I'd never seen it before, and I late last night laid down on the couch and put my AirPods in, connected it to the Apple TV, and watched it with headphones on. And man, it was cool. I didn't love it. I didn't think it was necessarily like super funny, but I like mockumentary stuff. I dig the style. I mean, seems like these guys kind of pioneered that, like The Office type stuff.
Yep.
And there was some really funny parts. The music was pretty funny.
Yeah. It's pretty cheesy.
It was
but
it was
great.
entertaining for sure, and there was a couple parts that I laughed out loud. It wasn't like a rip roaring like I was laughing the whole time, but I don't think that's what it was meant to be. Like, there's a little bit of story in there, a little bit of
Yeah.
Although you never really, I guess they're trying to make you think that like they're not going to get back together or whatever it is, but you know they are, right? Yeah, but
100%. Yeah, the story wasn't really exactly the point of this film. We talked about it earlier. It was almost like 98% of it was completely ad-libbed, and they just kind of had guidelines, and they just went with it. So it makes sense that there's not a lot of story.
there's a scene where the guy goes, most of your audience is young boys, and they're like, yeah, blah blah blah, and they like do this whole thing on it, and it's never addressed again. I thought that was going to be like a big
Plot
plot
point?
line throughout. Yeah, that like it's just a bunch of like adolescent boys at all their shows.
Well, there's a lot of deleted scenes that kind of affect some scenes. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed the scene where they all have cold sores.
I know the one guy has like a really vivid, like noticeable.
All
cold
of them
sore.
have
Yeah.
cold sores in that scene, and supposedly there's a deleted scenes where they had like an all-girl opening act, and allegedly they all hooked up and somehow got syphilis from all of them or whatever, or
Love
herpes
it.
or whatever it
Herpes,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think syphilis gives you cold sores.
Okay,
Last time I
herpes. My bad.
syphilis sores.
I've avoided all of them, luckily, I think.
Oh, so great. Well, thank you for joining us, Zach.
here.
And we'll see you later. Okay, now let's get into a little bit of Shag Snag Body Bag.
Is it a one-night stand, or do you hit it with a shovel, or take it home to mom and dad? It's like fuck, marry, or kill. It's Shag Snack Body Bag.
Are we going to do it in the normal order this week, or are we going to go backwards again?
I know, that was weird.
That fucking freaked me out
Yeah,
a little bit.
it was a little weird.
Let's go back to the norm.
You guys are so freaking OCD.
It's called Shag Snag Body Bag. So let's start with Shag, and Mr. Keep it in order. Let's go ahead and start with you, buddy.
Dude, I'm
are you shagging?
I'm shagging the guy with the beautiful mustache in Best in Show, which you guys just recently told me is Christopher Guest.
What, the beautiful mustache?
Yeah, the guy that has the hound dog in,
But you're
in Best in
shagging.
Show.
You're shagging him in this movie, or you're just going off the rails.
I think
and
he's the
shagging him
best.
in
Pa-
Best in
I think he's
Show.
the best part of this movie. I think he's the best part of Best in Show. They said, did we hear that he is the six-fingered man in
Yes.
in
Correct.
Princess Bride?
Princess Bride, yeah.
Dude, I love the guy. I had no idea he was Christopher Guest. I'm in. I'm all in on Christopher Guest.
Yeah.
Do you know who his brother was?
Fucking Wilford Brimley. I have no idea.
Have you seen a movie called Christmas Vacation?
I have.
The Neighbor,
Oh, really?
the athletic dude that's
The one with
the
with
girl
the
from
lane.
Seinfeld?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know this.
That's Christopher Guest's brother.
Dude,
I
that's
did not
awesome.
know that either.
Didn't know he had a brother. Didn't know he was
Yeah.
in movies.
Well, he is
Fantastic.
just spectacularly funny to me in a bunch of different stuff. I thought he was the funniest part of this movie, and damn, he's great. I didn't realize it was Christopher Guest. I know the name, but I never really put the face on it. But man,
yeah,
he's great.
I mean, he was responsible for a bunch of mockumentaries after this. Plethora. But he's also, as much as he does comedy, he's in A Few Good Men also. He's the first doctor that's on the stand in A Few Good Men as well.
I mean, he's funny.
Yeah.
He's also a good actor. Fuck,
Yeah.
he's impressive. That's
And
that's
a
my
talented
shag for
musician.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nigel Tufnell. Awesome. Brad, what are you shagging?
My shag is I want to see a whole lot more, and I think this guy needed his own movie. I want to see more of Viv Savage, who is the keyboardist. Badass keyboardist. He's
Dude.
playing two keyboards most of the time at the same time. When Nigel gets kicked out, like they're like, "Can you do Nigel's parts?" And he's like, "Fuck it, yeah, I can get on the keyboard. Like, I got this." And he's also a psychopath. He sounds like when they asked him later on, like, "What would you be doing if you weren't in the band?" He's like, "Yeah, I'd be doing some crazy shit." Like, I want to follow along what he's going to do. And he also is into video games. He had the whole little video game system. He was super stoked about
Computer
that.
magic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was stoked about that. So Viv Savage, he's a very interesting looking man. He's a strange person.
He has one of the best quotes, and like he barely talks in the entire film.
He doesn't talk a lot.
And what sucks is actually a couple of his scenes make me kind of hurt a little bit because the fingers don't match what's going on. Like his keyboard playing's a little bit suspect, but at the very end, like they ask him, "What is your motto?" And again, it's a line I've used a million times. Have a good time. All the time. Which is a great fucking motto, dude. Have
pretty
a
dope
good
motto.
time all the time.
Yeah, Viv Savage needs his own movie. I want to
Yeah.
find out what Viv was doing post, or actually probably pre Spinal Tap. I want to know what Viv Savage was up to.
He's pretty good. He's pretty wild-eyed in a couple of scenes where I'm like, holy
And
shit.
his mouth is very crooked.
Yeah.
He's got this like
His
weird
teeth are
fucking
horrible.
mouth.
His
Yeah,
teeth are awful.
He's an interesting dude.
Yeah. All right, Nate, what do you got, buddy?
My shag's a tie, so I want the little snippet where they're doing the reviews. I just want to watch that scene over and over again. Yeah. But I actually think if I had to break the tie, it's got to be the album cover, because as we know, I just want to know what the glove smells like. But also, I realize that they never show the album cover. And yeah, I have such a vivid image of it. And so all the conversation around it is a plot device, which if there is a plot, it's part of it.
And they said if it was you guys that were tied up and smelling the glove, it would be okay.
Right.
Yeah. It's all about how you spin it.
Yeah, they
you
said
know?
that they said that dude, that the dude that they're like all jealous of, they're like, "Oh, his album, he was the one tied up.
He's the
he
victim.
was the victim."
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, that's brilliant."
And that's, again, when they get into another great line, is there's a fine line between stupid and clever.
Yeah.
Which is such a great fucking line.
So I'll shag that album cover all day.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that kind of goes into mine is, speaking of that line, is just a lifetime of quotes that I've used with my friends. And we've said a lot of them. I've used them in various situations with the band, just in life in general. First of all, These Go to 11 is an iconic line that is used not just in, I've seen it in actual, like, in other conversations that don't have to be music. Like it's a, This Go to 11 is a term that's used a lot in other things that aren't just music, it seems like. And so I've already mentioned a few of them already. I have them all listed here, and we've gone over a lot of them, so I'm not going to go over them again. But armadillos in our trousers. The boys are frightened. They're talking about a lot of our fans are the young boys.
Right.
You mentioned that earlier. They're frightened by us. We have armadillos in our trousers. Listen to the sustain. Go have a bite. It's when he's doing the soft song, when he's playing the piano. It's in D minor, the saddest of all keys. He says it's a cross between Mozart and Bach. It's a mock.
Mock.
It's a
Yeah.
mock. It's a mock.
Just so great, and there's just so many great quotes, and that's what I love about this film.
He's not wrong either. D minor is the saddest key
It's the
by
saddest-
far. It's my favorite key of all time,
Great.
followed by A minor.
So let's go into our snags. Brad, what are you going to snag from this film?
My snag is just Christopher Guest, Harry Shearer, Michael McKean. I mean, those three as what they've put out, and I'm not even just going to the mockumentaries. I just want to go to their separate things. Like, so Christopher Guest, obviously Six Finger Man. He's been in a lot of acting roles outside of, but he's also the main guy in all of the movies. Like, I mean, he's just great in all of his mockumentaries. Harry Shearer, a Simpsons legend. I mean, so many voices that he's voiced. You've got Principal Skinner. He does.
So many.
No, it's all the voices. I think he does all of them.
He's got so many voices. I mean, Principal Skinner is like his most notable.
He
but
does
he's
the
got
guy
all
with the
these
yellow
voices.
skin.
I think he does Principal Skinner, right?
He does do Principal Skinner.
He's also been
got-
recently canceled for his Apu.
That was a problem. But also, Michael McKean was in a movie where it was also a problem that a white guy played an Indian man in Short Circuit 2. But Michael McKean's great in that.
Short Circuit.
Bro, you haven't seen Short Circuit 2?
No, bro.
Where you been?
Also, he's
Just
in,
still
he's in
trying to finish Short Circuit 1.
He's in Short Circuit 1 as well. The Indian guy that is a white guy playing an Indian man. But I will say,
I don't think I ever realized that was Michael McKean.
That was back before.
no. Michael McKean is not the Indian man.
Oh, okay.
He's an Indian face.
His
I was
name
going to say,
is,
that's great acting, bro.
God damn it!
Nice research.
So unprepared for all this shit.
That was-
Carl Reiner.
I wanted to say River Phoenix. It's not River, but it's something similar to that.
River Phoenix.
No, it's not
is
River
in there.
Phoenix. It's Fisher Stevens.
When
Fisher Stevens.
when River
Stevens.
Phoenix plays an Indian man.
You fish in a river, right?
Teach a man to river.
Nate,
Same-
Nate,
same-
He
same
eats
thing.
fish for a day.
let's dig him out of this hole. What do you got?
No. I got to make another point. I'm gonna edit the fuck out of this.
We're you gonna name some more people in The Simpsons.
Please keep some of it. Please keep.
Michael McKean is great in Short Circuit 2, but he's also brilliant. If you've not watched Better Call Saul, for all you Breaking Bad fans out there, Michael McKean just destroys the first few seasons, and
Yeah, he's great in it.
Fantastic.
just a legend.
Is he the brother?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, he's
Yes.
great.
Yep.
Yes, he is. It's so wonderful to see all these guys having great careers. They're funny as hell. They're talented musicians, but they're also just badasses, and they've all ventured off into other things. They can be successful together. They can be successful on their own. That's fucking awesome.
Love it. Nate, what are you gonna snag? You're looking at me like you
Do I have to?
don't. You son of a bitch.
I'm gonna snag Rob Reiner. So this kid in this his first like major film, right?
Son of Carl.
So Rob Reiner's son is Carl.
I'm confused
I don't
too.
know who Rob Reiner's son is. Anyway, so Rob Reiner, who he kicks off this 10-year run. I mean, he's a guy that came from nothing, right? I mean, he's had no background in Hollywood. He's pulled himself up by his bootstraps. Real rags to riches story. So Rob Reiner. So this kicks off like a 10-year run, right? This is his first major film, and both the diversity of, we talked about this earlier, the diversity of movies and also just the like hit rate. I mean, he kills. He's so good, and he's great in this as an actor too, right? He's really funny. He's great in other things as an actor, but as a director, like he's just, his films for that stretch of time are as they go up against anybody.
I always, for some reason, I thought that he directed Sleepless in Seattle, but he was just an actor.
He's just an actor in it.
Yeah, and so you always forget. Oh, he's an actor too.
Yeah.
Because he became just this director because he had so many amazing films in
Right.
a row, and you forget. Oh yeah, this guy's a working actor as well.
Yeah.
And he's got a ton of credits.
Yeah.
Even after he started directing. So, I'm gonna jump in and snag the production of the older songs, the catalog when they start doing the flashbacks and showing from the 50s and the 60s.
Give me some money.
Like
me.
They're like totally look like the Beatles or whatever on black and white, and they just got the haircuts and they're all clean shaven and total cheeseball. And then the 60s, the Listen to the Flower People sing.
Flower people.
And they got the kaleidoscope effect going around Nigel as he's doing the sitar solo and shit. And just the detail that they went into to making those so accurate and so fucking funny. Even though the songs aren't necessarily funny, they're funny because they're just so cheesy and perfect to the time.
I thought the "Give Me Some Money" song is like I didn't know they were going to say money, right? Like the entire lead up to until they say the word money is like it's a very sexual song.
Yeah.
Until they're like, "Give me some money," and I'm like, "What? Where did that come from?"
I just love that there's no band that would go from that to Flower People to metal. Like I don't think there's like any band that's had that type of career, but
it's a pretty
fun.
crazy arc. But I mean, and so there's a subtle thing they're talking about, like when he's in their one hotel room and says, "Hey, there's something playing in the other room. You need to listen to your past." And that song is called "Cups and Cakes," which is really fucking weird and really not Spinal Tap at all. And that's actually, I think, on the album that they released for this movie. Cups and Cakes. Oh, what good things mommy makes. It's like, it's a fucking weird little song. So, yeah.
If you're into incest.
So I'm what?
Is that the same? Cups and Cakes with Mummy?
Bro.
Am I wrong?
Jesus.
Did I look too much into that?
You've been watching too much of the House of the Dragon, buddy.
Dude, what other ink blots are you gonna spout out some dark
House
shit?
of Dragons has got me all fucked up.
So I'm gonna snag something that may hit home with Scott. I'm just gonna snag aging musicians. It's like my favorite. All of my fucking that was a dig at Scott, and I apologize, but
I didn't even think of it that way. That's fucked up.
no. But honestly, though,
Go fuck yourself.
I
bro.
was just trying to. I'm trying to fucking joke with you, bro. But no, for real. All of my favorite dudes are all like old now, and they're doing all these awesome reunion shows. They're coming through on like smaller bills that I can actually go see. And
That's weird. It's weird because you're still 19.
I know.
Why they're all old.
I know. They're like, these guys are like 26, 27, and they're fucking, aging out of rock and roll. No, but seriously though, I love the kind of way that this movie deals with these guys realizing that maybe they're not the hottest thing in town. And it's really interesting because I think that maybe that happens to people and it takes them a long time to realize that that's what's happening. But dude, I'm digging all of my favorite dudes that I liked when I was 18, and now I'm almost 40, and now they're all coming through. They're doing all these anniversary shows of these albums that came out when I was young, and like it's a cool time to be
Middle-aged.
old. It's cool. It's a cool fucking time to be old.
So speaking of aging musicians, scotchbeck.com. Check me out.
Shirts,
Yeah.
lyrics.
Shirts. Nice.
Is there lyrics there? Is
Yeah,
there
I think I got some lyrics on there. So,
Preparation H.
yeah.
Depends. For when you shit yourself listening to his album because it's so good.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with being old.
No.
Good time.
It just has to do with loss of sphincter control.
So I seriously doubt that there's any body bags because this is such a great movie. But I guess we'll go through the motions and we'll go around and see if there are any body bags. Okay, silent. Okay, great. Let's move on.
I've got a huge body bag for
Okay.
this movie.
Start it.
I paid $14.99 and now own Spinal Tap because it was not available on any
Scotch
fucking
offered you
stream.
the DVD.
I know.
I told you could have it.
I waited until 10:30 last night to watch the movie, dude, and I didn't have time to drive to Scott's house. So I was like,
I got
fuck,
the
I have
DVD
to
too.
watch it.
I don't own a DVD player, so I don't know what
I will say the when you put the DVD in and it closes, there's just a beautiful little description. Like they start talking to each other about like the whole menu on the screen. It's wonderful.
So-
it is wonderful.
I'm going to jump in because you were about to step on my body bag a little bit.
Oh shit.
So my body bag is streaming because the days of DVD commentary and bonus features are fucking done, man.
It's truth.
I could
And
see how the DVD commentary on this would be pretty dope.
So I just
As
like
soon as
Brad-
you put the DVD in, it's
yeah,
awesome.
So it's completely black. There's nothing, and then here's their voices. Oh, oh, how black can it be? You know, like talking about the album.
I can
It's
see
like,
myself
oh my
on
God,
both
this is
sides.
amazing. It's so great. Oh, this is perfect. All of a sudden, like the logo starts floating across the screen. Like, oh, that's great. Also, but it goes too far away. Like, no, stop, nope, stop. And then it's too far. And so they're just totally riffing and the in character, and it's so great. And it has like a couple minutes of them just going back and forth.
they're talking about like the scene selection. Is like, well, why would we talk about it if you've already seen it? And he's like, no, it's the scene select. You can select a scene from the movie. Oh, what movie? Could you watch? Could you watch an action movie? It's like
so great. And you can go through and you can and they have commentary over the whole thing. And like a lot of people don't even know what commentary is over films anymore.
He dropped into an English accent there for a second. I loved it.
He went Brett.
Maybe Irish. I don't know. So believe it or not, I was going to say I don't have a body bag, but as I do sometimes, I'm going to body bag myself on this one.
Oh, good choice.
Which is,
Stay there.
I just like
You do so.
I believe that this is a great movie, and like I believe that I should think it's funnier, and maybe I need to watch it a few more times. Like Dave kind of made this point when in the future he talked about it. So
I love that, Dave.
I don't like it when there's a movie that like
Everybody else likes.
Well, there are certain movies
Agreed.
that I know that like it's just not my thing,
Right.
and this sort of fits that in a way. But I think there are things like it that I do end up liking, and so I think in this case I either haven't given it enough time or I'm just too dumb to get it.
It's not a good feeling.
I totally agree with you, but fuck the American Office.
It leaves you, and I got left with a feeling of like, man, so many people love this movie. Like, I have to be missing something.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Like, I obviously haven't done this right.
Yeah,
Nostalgia is a hell of a drug. We will admit it.
Yes.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't even know if more watches would help or not. But because I've seen it tons of times and have so many of my friends that love it too, that you get caught up in the exchange. And
I get that about certain movies.
yeah.
If you watch the movie with just thinking about it as a movie, it might not hold up. But if you think about like, okay, this is a bunch of talented people who are ad-libbing and improvising, and they're also like, they created the songs themselves. Like if you like take all that in, it's like, that kind of adds a little bit to it, where it's just like, you know what, these are talented folks doing some really ridiculous shit. And it's not going to be your typical movie, but it's, I don't know. I think it's kind of genius.
You've seen Best in Show?
Oh, 100%.
You think it's funnier than this movie? I think objectively, Best in Show is funnier than this movie. I'm not saying it's better.
I'm not going to argue with that at all.
I'm saying it has more laughs.
The fact that it chooses such a wild topic to have a movie about, that's
Makes it funnier.
what I love about it. Yeah. It makes it so much more interesting because like, I'm like, yes, this is how people are at dog shows. I have no clue how people are at dog shows, but I bet this is how they are.
The thing that, so getting into those movies, Best in Show has way more main characters
Right.
that you love and that are funny, that have great scenes together. This is literally just the guys in Spinal Tap are the best part of this movie.
Right.
Other than Fred Willard, who we haven't talked about at all, which I fucking love me some Fred Willard, who's also in a lot of these other movies.
Yes, the announcer.
Fred
guy in
Willard
Best in Show.
he has such a small part in this, which is such a bummer. He's the Air Force guy.
Yeah.
And
Spinal Tarp.
With his shaggy hair.
yeah, my hair's getting a little shaggy. Don't want to get too close, but I think I'm in the band. He's so great. But yeah, so I could totally see why you would like that movie more because there's more characters to love. And so I get it. You're wrong, but whatever.
So my body bag is, I think the scene that stands out the most to me as being like a slapstick skit is the metal detector scene, where he goes through and he pulls out the cucumber that's been, and like he goes through it a bunch of times. It just feels so out of place because I think one, there's just not a whole lot of talking, and this movie is so based on like their conversations, the talking like carries the comedy. This is just a straight slapstick bit. Oh yeah, he's got the big fucking cucumber in his pants, the armadillo.
I thought for sure he was going to have like piercings in his dick, right?
I did not expect that.
Oh yeah, I was like, oh, he's got like a bunch of piercings in his dick.
They
and his
show it
balls.
in the concert before, where like after
Right.
he's talked about
I
the
saw that.
armadillos, and it's like, I mean, it's way
They
down
do
his leg. You're
close-ups
like,
on all their crotches.
yeah, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
something is going on there, and then it's just like it's very much like a SNL skit or something. It's like it just seems out of place, and it's not based on anything except just like, ha ha ha, he's got a cucumber in his pants. Which I think so much more of the humor is so subtle and like fun. That one just stands out to me.
I could see that.
Yeah. Anybody else got anything you want to shit on? My favorite movie of all time.
No, I legit didn't think it was bad. I just fuck, man. I had trouble getting to the laughs, and when the laughs were there, it was funny. But it was just there was a lot of dead air in between.
No problem.
That's my only issue.
It's not personal. We just don't like you, Scott.
That's fair enough.
I like Scott a lot.
So
this
let's,
movie, not so much.
Let's move into some streaming recommendations.
Crackle, Pluto, HBO, find anime on Crunchyroll, Peacock, Hulu, Disney, Netflix, Tubi, Sling TV, Shudder, Fubo. What the fuck is Fubo? I'm sure it'll cause a sensation. It's a streaming recommendation.
What is Fubo?
According to some folks,
clothing
it's
brand
actually
by
like
Puff Daddy.
No, it's a very common app. It's on my TV. I just saw it recently on my TV. I was like, oh shit, I have Fubo. I've never clicked on the app before, but it's on my smart TV. So my TV is smart enough to know what Fubo is.
Oh, really?
Whatever that fucking means.
Are you smart enough to use Fubo?
I have not used Fubo.
I can't imagine that Fubo is like super complicated to use.
No one can figure it out. That's why they've never actually opened.
I love Fubo, but their AI is just fucking not very intuitive.
Streaming recommendations. Nate, you got something?
Yeah, I mean, this feels on the nose.
Yeah, tell us what to watch that's good.
Almost,
other than this.
Almost Famous.
Oh.
So I mean, if we're talking about kind of rock stars of this era doing their rock star thing, for me, Almost Famous is a top 10 movie for me. There's no better movie about music. There's no better movie about rock stars, and it's streaming on Stars. If you want to go back, watch it. Once you watch it, if you haven't, go back and listen to our episode on it, which you'll find fairly early in the pod's history. It's a great one. Stars.
Yeah, you're not going to get any argument about that movie. That is just one of the best ever.
I got to go with, I've mentioned it several times now, but I got to go with Best in Show. I think that it is, the same style and the same people, and fuck, it's great.
Yeah, so my streaming recommendation, I got to give a shout out to Mark Christopher Lawrence. We had him on when we talked about the Terminator 2 podcast. There was a little bit of a producer malfunction during that episode.
A little?
Yeah, I mean, I think we fired that producer, so glad we got rid of them, because we missed out on a whole conversation about Fear of a Black Hat, which is 1994. It was essentially a gangster rap version of Spinal Tap, and it's a classic. They mimic all sorts of types of pop songs, CNC Music Factory, PM Dawn, Ice-T. Like, there's just so many like of the genre of that era that they make fun of, and it's a classic. You got to check it out. I will say, to get MCL some money, check it out on Showtime. It's available on Showtime. If you're broke, maybe go to YouTube. You might find a version of it that's full.
You're going to get us
uncut.
kicked off fucking
Get us
Facebook again,
banned,
bro.
On Facebook?
Remember last time when we were like, go to fucking YouTube and stream this movie
Oh,
illegally?
no, we put a
Dogma.
link out. I'm not throwing any links out. I'm saying this is available on Showtime legitimately. I'm just saying, if you're broke, maybe go to YouTube. I'm just saying, like, it might be there. I didn't say it was. It might be.
It is.
So we definitely we already discussed a few of these, but if you love this movie and you like Christopher Guest and the whole cast of characters, and Zach already mentioned Best in Show, there's a couple others that are fantastic, and A Mighty Wind is one of them. Amazing movie, has some really great music in it. Another one that a lot of people don't know about is Waiting for Guffman,
Yeah.
which is one of my favorite films in this genre. Is really weird. A small town. They have a sesquicentennial celebration they're doing. They put on this play. The music is absolutely ridiculous. Parker Posey's in it.
Christopher Guest is
everybody's
off
in
the
it.
hook.
Christopher Guest is a character named Corky and is fucking hilarious. So it's one of those. But Nate is gonna hate it because he doesn't like these type of movies.
I'm not going to hate it because I'm never going to watch it.
And then, so a couple of real quick ones. That is on. Those movies are like on Apple, on HBO Max, and you can find them everywhere.
You got to pay for him?
Apple is a rent, and then HBO Max, you probably have to have HBO. I'm guessing. I don't know.
Just like Showtime.
All right, you want something free? Okay, Drunk, Stoned, Brilliant, Dead, which is the documentary about the National Lampoon.
Yeah.
Which is a really fascinating documentary about how that whole thing came up. And so one of the guys we didn't really talk about was Tony Hendra, who was the manager, the road manager of the band. Ian Faith was the character. So Tony Hendra was one of the writers with National Lampoon. And then Christopher Guest with that. And I thought it was really interesting that how they kind of intersect all the comedy styles and everything like that. This is kind of where it started from, was National Lampoon. It's a really good documentary, and it's on Canopy for free.
Canopy.
And it's on Fubo.
I will say, Tony Hendra, the weirdest thing that I saw in when I was doing some research was that he says he almost killed himself. He tried to commit suicide the night before they started filming Spinal Tap. And then once he started filming some Spinal Tap, it was just so much just positive energy and great things. He was like, I'm happy. I'm good. I'm in a good place now. And that became his kind of therapy. That he got through that and was like, nah, I'm ready to keep living. So
yeah,
and he lived a long life.
What do you think about that, Nate?
I'm all for therapeutic mockumentaries.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, it's a new thing. It's called mockumentary therapy.
Yeah, you can check yourself into a facility actually, I think, where you just watch
The Office and fucking Spinal Tap and shit over and over again.
Best in Show. That's all you do really.
So I don't know how the hell we're going to do this, but I'm curious. We're going to go into a little segment we like to call alternate endings or reshelf. Do you want to put it in another genre, another type of movie? And that's what we're going to go into now.
No jet wash for Maverick, Meg still on that goose stick. Iceberg list Titanic, Leo's drawing that nude shit. Jim fucks Nadia like we all thought he should. Ricky and Doughboy get the fuck out the hood. Luke hooks up with Leia just like he's intending. It's time for a reshelf and alternate endings.
Yes.
My favorite part of that song is the very end, the sound.
Actually, do we pay that guy, or do we have to give him drugs, or what do we do?
He's getting residuals.
He gets residuals?
Yeah.
I thought we just gave him some blow and he was good.
That's just how we made the song so good.
Oh, damn.
You let me host.
So
That's part of the deal. This is a weird movie to alternate.
It's weird because it's a mockumentary, and but I'm curious to see. I got nothing.
I think we go Till Dawn, right? The obvious is, but it's still the mockumentary. They're vampires.
He's looking around.
I don't know what he's looking at.
You looking for vampires?
We're looking at you, bro.
They're vampires, right? But everybody plays it real straight. Obviously, they're a rock band of vampires.
So I will say the one mockumentary we have not mentioned yet is
What We Do in the Shadows.
What We Do in the Shadows.
As a movie and a TV show, it's mockumentary, and I can't believe we haven't talked about that yet because that is classic. But yeah, I mean, if you mixed the What We Do in the Shadows with Spinal Tap, it's a perfect meld.
Spinal Tap Till Dawn.
There you go.
See, that is perfect.
It's actually pretty on the nose.
So if we make
100%.
yeah.
100%.
Oh, that's so good. And another thing that we've talked about a lot is alternate song. And I mean, how are you going to change any of these songs? How are you going to make it better? Can we? Because these songs are pretty great.
I mean, the songs are pretty good. The Sex Farm song
Sex Farm
is fucking good. The Big Bottom song is good.
Pulling out my pitchfork and poking your hay is one of the lyrics from Sex Farm. Which, so good.
I don't really have an alternate song to end this one. I dug it, but I don't know what we could put at the end that just would make it hit even harder.
Yeah, you got to go with their songs. It's hard to change any of that. I will say alternate endings, like we could have had something different. I mean, involving especially David St. Hubbins, like his girlfriend. Maybe something happens to her because like she's kind of the most the character that you're rooting against. I think the most. She's kind of the Yoko Ono of the whole
100%.
And they don't really resolve that whatsoever. He just kind of gets invited back into the band, and Nigel's back in, and it's like, okay, we're going to Japan.
You think she's Yoko-ish?
Yeah.
She's 100%
I find her.
Yoko.
I get what you're saying, but I find her like not super abrasive or offensive at all. Like she doesn't really do anything.
She basically takes
besides
over for
being
Ian.
present.
She says, "I'm going to take over for Ian. Like I'm going to be your co-manager." Like,
I mean, yeah, I get where she's going.
She wants to
with
record
that.
the album in Dublin.
And doubly.
Which I will say, as far as an acting scene, the way that is acted in that little diner, the way that Christopher Guest like reacts to it, and then like it's like he realizes what she says, and then he's like immediately looks at her like, "Oh fuck, bitch,
like,
I know what
I got you now."
And then he throws the first jab. And it goes off, and then like blah 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 blah, and then all of a sudden later he brings that back in.
But he almost brings it up like a little kid that like maybe they didn't hear what I said. Maybe they didn't hear that I was making fun of that. She said
he
double.
drops it again.
Yeah,
it is great.
So this isn't an alternate ending exactly, but maybe it's an alternate forecasting. Because of course we talked about the fact that Spinal Tap 2 is online. I don't know what that's going to be, but what I hope to God it is, because, one of the weird things about this is that they kind of have this strange transformation from like a, 60s kind of like, British invasion, like early Beatles look to this, crazy metal. I want to see like a lot of throwbacks in Spinal Tap 2 to them adopting different eras. So like I want to see Spinal Tap as a grunge band. And then I want to see them as like a boy band, like an NSYNC type band in the later 90s.
Maybe some K-pop.
They're trying to bring a rapper into like their group. Like that would be kind of funny.
like rap country at some point. And then like they have it. One of them is like a DJ, and they do like super auto-tuned shit. And then like the Spinal Tap 2 is really them like trying to transition out of that and like having a reawakening of the original.
Yeah.
I actually love that, and I bet you those guys could write some funny ass songs with all those different genres.
But can you imagine them like as a grunge, and they've got like they are all wearing flannels,
which looking at the career arc that they would 100% totally do, like,
absolutely,
without any shame whatsoever, because they went from Beatles style like 1960s stuff to
even before
Flower
that,
Child to
folk stuff.
I mean, they've been all through all the genres. They don't care.
We got to see that.
Whatever's going to make them money.
Well, because they were straight up a hair band, and they would have gotten destroyed by Nirvana when they came out, and they'd have to adapt.
One of the funny things, and Scott, you tell me what you think, is that they're billed as this heavy metal band, and then like the first couple songs that you hear them play are not metal at all.
I think that's part of the joke,
right? Is it? Because I was like, man, this is like some soft metal.
I mean, tonight I'm gonna rock you tonight sounds very much like a Kiss song. It's very Kiss.
I'd say it's more like late. It's like more like rock, like classic rock, than metal. I mean, I don't know that they're ever really metal.
I mean, Hellhole, it's not exactly the heaviest of metals, but it's about a hellhole. That's where he lives. It's whatever.
Well, I do have to give a real quick props to one more mockumentarist that maybe people don't know of. Chris Lilly. He's a comedian from New Zealand.
Oh my God, Brad.
Angry Boys, Summer Heights High.
Summer Heights High is so fucking funny, dude.
It's all mockumentary style, and he plays a lot of the characters. And if you want to check out something it's very much Spinal Tap adjacent.
He plays like a high school girl. He plays a high school boy.
A rapper.
He plays the drama teacher. He plays, and dude, he's so fucking funny. But they did a follow up of Jamae. And man, we tried to get into it. We watched a couple episodes, and it was not funny, dude. It was not funny. But God, Summer Heights High is really good. You guys should watch it on HBO.
Angry Boys is what stood out to me first. I liked Angry Boys a bunch, so it's definitely worth checking out. It's got that whole mockumentary feel. So
love it.
something we
And
had mentioned.
awesome New Zealand accents, which just fucking floor me.
And a 40-year-old man playing high school girls.
Like a 14-year-old girl, yeah. and like somewhat convincingly at certain times. And then there's like other high school boys that are like trying to date her, and they're like, dude,
It's
it
so
is
awkward.
so funny.
I've seen a lot of clips because your brother loves that show.
Yeah, I couldn't. My brother would have punched me if I didn't mention that.
100%. Okay, so thank you guys so much. I think that wraps it up. I think we've gone through everything.
Are we drafting next?
And next week we are going to be drafting a very controversial topic in a lot of ways because nobody understood what we were talking about. We had to exchange texts and say, "Wait, this musicals? What? No." So it's simple. Most memorable original song performed in a movie. So
Non-musical.
non-musical.
But it has to be. But it has to be performed. You're saying so it can't just play over the top. Like
Right.
somebody in the movie has to play the song
Performed
and it's
by a
gotta be
character
part
in a
the
movie.
universe of
The whole
movie.
point, whole point of the fucking category was we did Spinal Tap. We just talked about it,
And they all perform songs.
They performed their songs. They wrote the songs for the movie. So I want original songs, like in a movie that was made for the movie. No covers, no musicals, so no singing of the dialogues, no nothing. So
It's like Heart Will Go On qualifies, right, for Titanic?
No.
That's like
Son
top
of a-
number one.
No. Unless Leo sings it, no, sir.
So tune in next week for more conversations like this where we fucking
Where we
try to
argue over
figure
the
out what
draft
hell.
category.
So anyway, so thank you guys so much.
Hey,
for,
Scotch.
Yeah.
I will always love you. Oh.
It's a fucking cover. Dolly Parton wrote that shit. See?
Hey,
Okay.
hey, Scotch, blame Canada.
Can we look that up? Did Dolly
That's a
Parton write it?
musical.
Dolly Parton may have covered it also.
Fun fact is my great uncle wrote a bunch of, I think he produced a bunch of Dolly Parton songs.
Really?
Yeah, I tried to call her and play that card to see if she'd come on the podcast. Didn't work.
We're doing 9 to 5,
Wait,
Dolly.
what
You
is
want
she
to come
doing
on?
besides this?
She's
Besides
like
being on
a
our
billionaire,
podcast?
bro.
Yeah.
She's literally like one of
Just
the
like-
richest people
I
in
think she's just
Tennessee.
bathing in money.
Yeah.
Dolly Parton?
Yeah. Anyway, good times.
That has been This Is Spinal Tap. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
I wanna be at Beverly's, bringing me home with my movies, just a blind by, no reason why. I love this scene. Nick Nate, I can brag your favorite podcast. Let's start